This is Let's Talk Teens, a parenting podcast sharing tips on raising amazing teenagers. We are both certified life coaches that have worked with teenagers as coaches, mentors, and teachers. We are sharing what we have found to work best when dealing with teens and tough issues. This is Abbi and Cheree, Let's Talk Teens, episode 96, Back to School with Your Teen, part 2.
Okay, today, Abby and I thought we would talk about asking your teens questions that will create connection and not just an eye roll, right? Or just the same repetitive questions like, how was school today? Or have you done your homework? Those are so easy to ask. But what if we broadened and changed our questions a bit to really help, help our teen in a lot of ways, but also to get more of an answer and less of an eye roll, maybe. I don't know. But better questions. We're going to talk all about better questions today. So let's just talk about how it's so easy to your kids get in the car or they get home and you're like, hey, how was school? Fine. And it's over, right? And those are the easy questions. And sometimes it's just hard to know what questions to ask. But I thought it would be good to talk about a few that might really be helpful. And remember that sometimes still your teen's going to roll their eyes and they're not going to want to talk about it. But asking better questions might change that. Or over time, give it some time. Don't just quit. If it just doesn't work the first or second time, keep going with it. The thought I had too is let's not pepper our teens with questions. I'm going to give you some suggestions, but that doesn't mean you use all of them in one setting. Let's just realize that the part of the process for teenagers is learning to become independent and not need to report everything to their mom and dad and not talk about everything in there. They're processing a lot in their head. So starting out with, instead of how was your day? It could be what was something that was unexpected that happened today?
I think you'll get more answers when you say that because the how was your day is so almost trite of just it's what we say that your teen is ready for it and they're like, "Ugh, just whatever, mom." They're ready for that versus your question makes them stop and go, yeah, here's some things I did today. So I actually think you'll lead into more conversations and authentic answers from your teen because we're kind of avoiding the eye roll questions of it was fine, mom. Or even they could be nice about it, be like, yeah, it was fine, but you're not getting any info.
Yeah, so true. So, so true. I think another of my favorite is how did you win the day? Or what was a win for you today? We could even go to, I think some of the parents were like, we don't want to be negative, but I think sometimes even being like, oh, what was the hardest part of your day today? Because the reality is we as parents, I do think are trying to be like, oh, how was your day? Was it so good? And we want them to say it's so good because then we can be like, okay, there's no problems. I can relax.
Yes. Yeah.
Don't we? But I think sometimes you can be like, what was hard about today? Or what was something that challenged you? Or, what made today difficult? Or what are you hoping was better
Especially,
tomorrow?
yeah, especially if they're leaning into that. They're like, well, today was rough, mom. It'd be so and consider if you're like, well, just tell me the positive thing that you did. Or,
Hmm.
let's just find that silver line to instead just be like, tell me more. Or I loved you said okay, what was hard about today? Right? And acknowledging that life is yin and yang, right? Hard and easy.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why I think it's so good to be like, hey, what was the high point of your day? Or what was the low point of your day? Or when did you feel the most confident? Instead of did you feel confident? It's when did you feel the most confident? Which class lit you up? What was the, your favorite class of the day? Being more specific instead of just how was your day is going to help you get more answers. You could even say ask questions to help with just character and growth, not all about even academics or friends. We could go all the questions, but how are you proud of yourself today? Or did you make a mistake and what did you learn from it? And normalizing that for your teen, or how did you step out of your comfort zone? Or what's one thing you could do differently if you could? I think all of those things are just good of just saying, hey, and again, we don't want to pepper them with all these questions, just maybe asking one question each day, just or two, or depending on their conversation, if they do start to talk to you, then it's okay to ask more questions. And I love even just saying if they're telling you something about their day, just honestly asking this question, tell me more about that. And being there to just hold space for them. And we've talked about this before, but holding space is one of my favorite things for teens. It's just to be like, I'm here when you're ready to talk. And they might not be ready to talk right when they walk in the door. And so maybe even asking that question right away isn't good. Maybe it's more of a dinner time discussion that you
Yeah.
ask a question at dinner time and say, okay, we're just gonna all go around and like say something like that happened in our day where we felt like we won the day, and we're gonna say something that was really hard. And maybe the third thing is we're gonna say something that we want to do differently tomorrow. And
Yeah.
it's just acknowledging like, okay, we're all gonna talk about this, and when everyone does it, it feels more comfortable when it's just directed at one person.
Well, and I like that because in our part one episode that you can listen back on, we said let them transition. And if we're peppering them, we're not letting them transition. So it's totally fine when you see them. That doesn't mean like ignore them. Be like, oh, I'm not going to ask about school, but ask and then like let them go to their room.
Yes, I think that is so good. It's and you'll be able to tell really quick, parents, if your teen really wants to talk or they just it is a one word answer, and just I think it's just going with whatever they're ready for. What I have found is even if it's a one word answer or maybe a few words and they don't really want to talk about it then, because you've asked a kind of an open-ended question and a better question, they might circle around to it. So they might go to their room for a while and then they'll come back and be like, "Hey mom, you remember when you asked me about this? Like, here's something I was thinking about," because you've just opened their mind to looking at it differently instead of just how was your day at school. One other question that I feel like would be really so good for us as parents to ask our kids at some point, maybe it's not right when they walk in the door, is there anything you wish adults understood about school? Because they might tell you,
Mm.
like, you know what, actually, like, I really hate it when you ask questions, when I get home, or
Get out of my
I
business. Yeah.
yeah, or I really need more space, or school is really stressful. And then that's a good thing. Like, okay, now they've told me school is really stressful. When they get home every day, I might be like, hey, how was your stress level today? And that opens up another question. But really help like asking them what they wish we knew as their parents and the adults about school. And then just to kind of transition a little bit into other helpful questions with school is a lot of times we jump into the um, when are you going to do your homework or how much homework do you have? And so we kind of take responsibility for what they need to do. And I
Mhm.
think that sometimes is not helping them own their own responsibilities. And again, it kind of feels like we're on their case and we're just like, this is what you need to do when how much homework do you have? Or when are you going to do your homework? Or have you done your homework? But what if we tried asking a question like this that kind of gives it back to them. It reminds them, but it gives them the responsibility. And that is, what's your plan for getting everything done this week?
Yes. Or I was thinking, Sheree, like a question of, especially if you use like, get off my case and be like, okay, so if I was to call your teacher, what would they tell me about you in class? Or what would they tell me about all your assignments, And I feel like that does make a teen pause and go, well, okay, I'm missing this one or I'm working on this one, right? And it less like, did you do your homework, taskmaster, and more just, okay, I'm really trusting you to get in your assignments, but how's that going? Right?
Yeah.
Or, just making it more of like an adult interaction.
It is. So like if you ask your kids, like, what's your plan for the day? And they're like, oh, I'm gonna go hang out with friends and I gotta go to work and I have this FBLA meeting and they're going off and nothing, no academics is in there. You might want to say, okay, that sounds great. What is your plan with school?
Hmm.
No,
Or
what
your
is your
big project.
or
Yeah.
what's your big project? Or what is it that is like you're working on right now? Or what's due tomorrow? Or I think it's just good to like help them reflect. And again, it's not like go do your homework or have you done your homework? It's okay, what academically needs your attention right now? I think another really great way is just after they're telling you the things they need to do, or this is my plan for the week, or the plan for the day. I think it's so good to say, how can I support you?
Yeah.
What do you need from me?
Well, and I wanted to add here too, Shri, that I feel like sometimes as a mom, like if you're, or a dad, as a parent, if you're listening to this and you go, well, my kid needs reminders. Oh no, I failed as a mom. They're not independent. They're not. And that's absolutely not true. Like I was just thinking of my kids, one of them needs a reminder and one doesn't. And that's just a personality thing. And it's not the end of the world, right? So if you're like, oh man, I don't have to worry about daughter, but I sure have to remind son, that's okay. Like that's part of our job as a mom is to know them and to know them well enough to go, I better. like ask son questions about this English project, make sure he's got his ducks in a row versus daughter, I just need to ask her, how can I support you? And she's like, oh, I've already done it, or blah, blah, blah. There's
Mhm.
personality, there's gender, there's age, all involved in those things. And so don't feel like a failure if you're like, I always have to remind them to do their homework. Just be like, you know what? That's part of my role as mom right now, is that I just say, hey, how's it going right now? How can I support you?
I love that. I listened to a podcast once that I really enjoyed that it was talking about how as parents sometimes we just feel like we're hounding our kids, whether they're little kids, whether they're teenagers. We're just like, okay, have you made your bed? Have you cleaned up your room? Have you done your homework? And it was talking about the power of asking them what's next. So, okay, so even for like little kids, maybe it's bedtime, the bedtime routine, instead of being like, oh, it's time for bed, we need to go brush our teeth, we need to do this. So, okay, it's bedtime routine. What comes first? Oh, we need to go and get our pajamas on. Okay, what's next? Oh, we need to go brush our teeth. What's next? We need to read a story. What's next? And you keep saying that. So the same works with teenagers. Instead of hunting them like, okay, you need to do this and this and this. So like, okay, you're home from school. I'm so glad to see you. I missed you. Um, what's next for you?
Hmm.
And then just doing that, they're like, oh, I need downtime. Great. So after a while, they've had downtime. Okay, awesome. I'm so glad you got downtime. What's next for you? But it's asking them to come up with what they need to do instead of you saying, go do your homework. We're wanting them to kind of come up with like, oh, I need to go do my homework.
Yes,
Okay, perfect. How can I assist you in that? They're
exactly.
coming up with they're coming up with their wisdom and they are taking responsibility of what needs to happen. And it no longer feels like we're hounding them and telling them every step to make. We're just reminding them by asking them questions. What else do you need to do today? What's needed?
Yeah, because the reality is they are going to leave your very sheltered, very awesome, as it should be, protected home environment. And
Mhm.
whether they go to a trade school or go live somewhere else or go on a church mission, right? There is going to come a day when the person responsible for them turning in their homework or their assignment or their work is them. And we want to help them with that transition. Um, and just making it a little bit less rocky. And so I love that of you prompting and saying, what's your next step? What's your next step? Because truly, Shree, that's like a voice I hear in my head all the time of, okay, what do I need to do next? Check my
Mhm.
list. Okay, what am I doing next? I will literally, this is bad. This is like maybe my type A coming out, but I'll always say, don't slow down. Just keep going. Like, what's next? What's next? Instead of being like, oh, I want to pick up my phone. Oh, I want to go do this, right? And just saying, nope, pound through, pound through. What do we got going?
What's next? It is. It's just we're setting them up for success when they can figure out what is needed instead of being told every little thing. So my final question that I think is just a good one to ask our teens frequently is, do you know how much I love you?
Mm.
And or do you know how much you mean to me? Or do you know this important role that you play in our family that you're needed? Do you realize that? Do you know? And we say that in question form because we really want them to think about it. And are they receiving our love? Are they accepting it? Are they feeling it? Am I doing my job to help them understand the important role they have in their family, in our family, and that they are loved by me? And that might still seem like a silly question, and you might get an eye roll, but I still think it's a good, important question. Is like, do you know how much I love you, or do you know how needed you are in our family? And if they're like, no, I'm not, be like, yeah, you know why? This is something you're so good at. You're so
Yeah.
good at bringing everyone together, or you're so good at comedy relief, or you're so good at seeing when your siblings needs help, or you're so good at listening, and you're so good at being diligent in your homework. It's reminding them that they are so good at so many different things, but they are loved no matter what.
Mm.
And so I just think that that is a good question to also ask instead of just these duty questions or learning about them and their day are all powerful questions, but at the end, love wins, right? And so we want to make sure our teens feel loved.
Well, Cherie, after 96 episodes together, we are like in sync, like as a team, because I was sitting here thinking, yeah, we need to remind them that we love them, right? And that can really help with that transition. And honestly, anytime we kind of see our teen anew, meaning they wake up and it's been hours since we've seen them because we've all been sleeping, shower them with love and compliments, like you were saying. When they get home from school, shower them with love and compliments because most likely they're not getting showered with love and compliments out there. Like, and they might have the best friend group, they might have the most positive experience with school, and it's a grind. And so they need to come home and know I am loved, I am needed, I am okay. And we can offer that. And I get we might be transitioning from work. We might be like, oh my gosh, I got dinner and I got pickup and then we got art lessons and piano and all the things. Take a minute to be that calm, to recenter and be like, do you know how much I love you? And I've been thinking my mom is so good at this. And even as an adult, she will tell me, Abby, I just love you. Or, oh, you made me so happy when you came over today. And I'm just like, okay, mom. Like we just need that so deeply. And so make that part of your routine of checking in on your youth and going, do you know I love you? Do you know that I see that you cleaned up your socks today or you picked up
Mhm.
your sister's toys, right? Like I saw you. And that is just so refreshing to a teen who is just thrown all out there emotionally and now needs a little bit poured back into them.
Absolutely. I love it. Well, as you brought up the 96 episodes of season one, this is the last of our season one, episode 96, and we will be starting season two in October. And we will be so excited to meet you there with some new thoughts, new ideas, and continued support as you raise your teenagers.
Thank you for listening to Let's Talk Teens with Cheree Murdock and Abbi Winslow. If you are looking for more tips to help your teenager, here's where you can find us. You can find Cheree Murdock on Instagram at Cheree Murdock Coaching or on her website, ChereeMurdock.com. You can find me, Abbi, on Instagram as Abbi Winslow or on my website, AbbiWinslow.com. Please rate and review our podcast and share with a fellow parent. Thanks for listening.